obstacles that you've seen that are stopping us as a country, as a continent, from moving towards renewable energy as the mainstream way of doing things? What's stopping us from doing that?
Right. So the first outright thing is that these technologies are newer. You know, many of them are nascent. Many of them have not been tested at scale. Of course, quite a number of them are sort of mature now, but the cost of renewables is not necessarily as low as, for example, let's say hydro. Hydro is an old technology, has been around for a while. So that's the first one. The fact that they are new means that there's already a lot of perceptions around what that could be. And then it is prohibitively expensive to start with. And that's a barrier that can be removed by a number of factors, including people creating consortia and partnerships that, you know, bring the right kind of financing to the table. So that's one of them. The other one is the kind of energy systems that we are already used to. So we were used to set up a power plant that you just need to put the coal, switch it on, and the power is available. Put in the oil, switch it on, and the power is available. And we have assets that have cost millions of dollars to install. You know, if you have a power plant like that one in Kipevu, you need up to 25 years for you to, if you're setting it up for profit, as was the case, then you don't just shut it down. That would be a very good option. If you can shut it down, then we will be forced to look into renewables only. But you don't just shut it down. It's somebody's business. Somebody needs to be paid. This is why it appears in your bill every month, every week, every day, because somebody installed that power plant expecting to be paid when they sell or they generate the power, or even when they avail the power plant, which then means that you don't just shut it down. If you shut it down, somebody needs to pay. Somebody paying means that it will be loaded onto the consumer.
Right.
So because the system has been that way, more like we are addicted to that kind of older system, it's not as easy for us to transition. But then in Africa, then we are just many countries, because we are talking about 600-700 million people that don't have access to any form of electricity out of 1.4 billion. Just means every second African does not have access to electricity in any form.
That's right.
Which then means a lot of countries are at a crossroads now. They have a chance to say, instead of following the old system, let's go to the newer system, and then address the barriers we just talked about, costs, how new it is, intermittency, which we talked about earlier. So some of those barriers are mental, some of them are systemic, some of them are beyond just the African country in question. If we were to isolate a country,
right,
it's kind of tied to an international energy system, or energy supply system, which is why we have to really think about some of these things from a regional perspective to the extent possible, if not global.
All right, all right. Now, Zeph, as we wind up, I want to ask you two questions. Now, one is actually from your own experience. I understand you've actually been able to implement some of what we're talking about here practically. There's been a project you implemented, I believe, in Mali, a rural electrification project. I need you to tell us just as quickly as you can, just some somebody would say high-level figures about it, just high-level details, just bullet points about it, and talk to us a little bit also about the projects you did in the Imbo and Moso basins in Burundi, which are actually quite fantastic. Talk to us about that. Sell it to us, just a proof of concept, so to speak.
Right.
Hit us with that, quick as you can.
Yes,
please.
Let me give you the one later one. The Mali one was a few years back, sometime in 2017, 18, or thereabout. We have one that is a lot more later, which is similar to the Mali one, which is distributed renewable energy in agriculture modalities. This is an initiative that is led by African Development Bank, GEAPP, which is where I am working currently, and a few other partners. And what it is doing is to establish small power grids, which is what we call mini grids, using solar to drive irrigation systems or agriculture-based systems, which later will include sun. So what this is doing is where the grid has not arrived and there's a community there that has economic activities, you can avail electricity and try to do this to the extent possible in a commercial sense, to say it makes business sense for you to install this mini grid, and this mini grid is going to be powering activities for consumers who are willing to pay for the power, because then they are going to be making money out of that. So that's one of those projects. The Imbo and Moso project in Burundi was an IFAD project that was also funded by the GCF, and my role was to bring in climate finance, which is another way of us increasing capital coming into electrification or using renewable energy. And this was a project that is trying to increase the resilience of production systems,